Hey, good morning to you. We're going to talk a little bit about parenting right now. Kathy Buckworth, parenting expert, author of I Am So the Boss of You, now has a brand new show on Rogers. So first off, the show tonight at 9 o'clock. Tell me a little bit about it.
Sure, it's live at 9 o'clock, so if people want to actually comment or tweet during it, that would be great. It's on Rogers, Toronto, Channel 10 and 63. We're doing parenting tonight, and we're talking about the myth and the madness of having it all tonight. But the show in general, it's going to run once a month. We're going to be talking about current parenting topics, actually. So things like social media and parenting, kids and eating, sleep, all of the things that sort of this generation deals with in maybe the same way as other generations or different ways, because I think there's a lot that goes on today that other previous generations of parents didn't have to deal with.
Okay, when we talk about having it all, we're talking about the career, being the perfect family, and the stresses that are included in that. So first off, I don't think there's anything called a parenting expert, because I think we're all like, that's the whole thing. It's
mine
like,
are not
wow.
in jail, so that's good, right? So I have 4 kids, and so far I know where they all are. So that's
And what
that's
are the ages of your kids?
My kids are 11, 14, 20, and 22. So I've just got 2 still at home and 2 out, actually.
So
2 in, 2 out.
You've been through the whole process. So
yes.
Can you have it all?
Well, do you know, I think we need to define what it all is. This is where the challenge comes in. So I think that we measure ourselves sometimes to this standard that no one can hit, not even men, believe it or not, where you can really feel like there's any moment that you have it all. What I think that you can do is feel like you are in control sometimes. And in order to feel in control, we need to make sure we know what it is we want to accomplish. It is not at the top of my list, for instance, to accomplish a Pinterest-worthy dinner every night or to make sure the house is sparkling clean all the time. But it might be to feed my kids a nutritious meal, to get my work done at a reasonable basis, to go to bed, to exercise, etc. So I think where we, as women, sometimes need to feel more accomplished or more successful is to write down those things we really want to accomplish. And maybe then we can feel like I have it all. But we're held up to these ridiculous role models in the media, the women who hit the catwalk 2 minutes after they give birth, and the ones that seem to have it together all the time. But that's how they're presented to us. So I think we need to stop being quite so hard on ourselves as well.
But when it comes down to it, you're working a 9-to-5 job, let's say that, and you have a career and you have a family, and then you come home and you're trying to get dinner done, and then there's homework time, but you're supposed to get your kids to bed by between 7:30 and 8 o'clock.
Right.
How do you fit that all? And it's pretty easy for people to get overwhelmed and to feel that they're lacking or failing their kids.
Failing, and like I said, and my previous book, this last book that I wrote, I talked about that a lot in the sense that at work we make sure we have the right resources in place before we take on projects or additional projects. And at home we tend not to do that evaluation. I want to play rap hockey. Okay. Not realizing you have to drive to the arena 4 times a week, and other things are going to drop off. So we need to make sure we always have our priorities in line and say, you know what, it wasn't a priority of mine, to make sure that I cleaned up the kitchen every night at a certain time, or it wasn't a priority of mine to make sure that I volunteered at the PTA. We've got to make sure we know what our priorities are, and then we can start to feel more successful about the choices we make, because a lot of these are choices. I remember someone saying to me once, you have 4 kids, isn't that busy? I'm like, well, yeah, but what did I think it was going to be? Like, sort of going into it, you sort of know it's going to be busy. And we're actually talking tonight, my first 2 guests in the show are Julie Cole, who's co-founder of Mabel's Label. She has 6 children, and she runs very successful, right? She runs a very successful company, so she certainly knows about the pressures to have it all, but she also knows what it's like when people say, well, you seem to have it all, and she's thinking, no, no, I don't. So she knows those pressures as well. And we also have Lisa Finley on, who's a psychotherapist, who's going to talk to us about maybe some of the mental damage we're doing to ourselves and to other women when we either try to have it all, when we feel we don't have it all, when we try to put off the image of having it all. So there's a lot that goes on there, and I think we do ourselves a bit of a disservice. So that's tonight's show, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Okay, so people out there right now that are watching, maybe they're thinking, maybe we should have a little wee one over the next year or so. Right. It changes your life.
It does change your life, exactly. And it's hard to sort of plan for those kinds of things as well, too, when you think about having a new baby. And people ask me about teenagers now, and I said, well, it's sort of like when you can't explain to anyone what it's like to have a baby, you sort of can't explain what it's like to have a teenager as well. So each stage has a lot of challenges, and I always say every child has a different mother. So you're a different mother to your child at different ages and when you have them, what their place is in the family. So trying to predict that sometimes can drive you a little bit crazy too. So you sort of have to let it happen. As you know, you have 2 young sons. You have to let it happen and then plan your schedule and your life around it. And yeah, things change. So you can't go out every night anymore. So you can't go to the gym 5 times a week. So it's just for now, it's in a phase, you know, and we all work our way through to the next phase.
I think the best advice is to enjoy the ride. It's like a surfboard, just kind of hold on and try to ride that wave as long as you can and take every moment. It's amazing how quickly kids grow.
Absolutely, absolutely it is. You're absolutely right. Hold on to the moment.
So thank you very much. Tonight, 9 o'clock on Rogers. It's called Parenting. And thank you. And check out her book, I Am So the Boss of You. And every kid under the age of 3 feet is the boss of their parents.